Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told out of Voice Radio, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we knew it was going to happen. We knew sooner or later that this video was coming. Wishy-Washy's gonna won a League Cup, and ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to tell you all about it. Huge shout out to Joe Bob over on Twitter who did send me the list, and potentially even bigger shout out to Bryson Caldwell, who was the one who actually had the success with this particular deck. So thank you very much to those lovely chaps for giving us all the information. And the deck here, it's full on Wishy-Washy, and I've told you many times that you can have 4 of a non-GX and 4 of a GX of the same Pokemon in the same deck, because the GXs have different names to the non-GXs. And that is borne out here, ladies and gentlemen, as we see 4 Wishy-Washy and 4 Wishy-Washy GX in the same deck, because quite frankly, this is Wishy-Washy fun time. Now, we're going to start with the little Wishy-Washy here, Baby Wishy-Washy. Hey, Nick. And to be honest, the baby moniker here is probably more deserved than it may ever have been in the past. You see, this is a wonderful little card. And when I say little, I mean little. It's got 30 HP. That is terrifying, but we'll talk more about that in a moment. What it does do, though, is it's got an ability. And the ability here is nuts good. The ability is quite adorably named Meet Up. Your Wishy-Washy GX in play get 20 more HP, and their attacks do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. Now, for those of you that have been playing a little while, this is literally Expert Belt, except you can stack 4 of them in once. It does stack 4 Wishy-Washy plus 80 HP plus 80 damage. And you don't have to give up an extra prize. So Expert Bout was literally a tool card that was around tail end of Diamond and Pearl era. Came out in the Arceus set. And it would give you an extra 20 HP and mean you do an extra 20 damage. Well, here you've got 4 of them that stack up for your Wishy-Washy GX. And that is essentially what you do here. You use Wishy-Washy, the baby one, to power up Big Daddy Wishy-Washy GX. I've started calling the GXs Big Daddies in the same way I call the non-GXs babies. Do feel free to complain in the comment section. Or, join in. Because joining in is more fun than complaining. There, I said it. So this ability is great. And look, maybe an Alolan Muck comes down. And this is another one of those decks, and I feel like we've looked at a bunch of these lately, what does that tell you? Where Alolan Muck would just wreck the deck. Because you see, Alolan Muck isn't like Garbodor. Garbodor needed a tool attached. So you could play a Field Blow and you got your abilities back. Alolan Muck, if you want to get rid of an Alolan Muck, you've got to Guzma it into the active and KO it. So yes, Alolan Muck is a problem. We said it. But once you've got all your Wishy-Washy on the bench, in comes Wishy-Washy GX, and the pretty good looking card becomes crazy good. Because you see it's got a natural HP of 210. 210 is a very large HP. By the time you get 4 Wishy-Washy on the bench, you're up at 290. 290 is absurd, ladies and gentlemen. Bearing in mind this is still a basic Pokemon, 290 is kind of like over the top brokenly good. It's nuts. And then look, we've got some bigger attacks here, but really it's Water Gun. 20 damage for 1 energy, it's alright. It's not terrible. Add a Choice Banded hit for weakness and you're doing 100, so yeah, it's alright. But add 4 Wishy-Washy on the bench, you're hitting for 100. Weakness or not, GX or not, Choice Band or not. And now you got a 290 HP Pokemon, hitting for 100 damage for a single energy, and it's not getting one-hit KO'd by much. Now, sure, there's a bunch of Pokemon out there like Rayquaza that can get a one-hit KO. But even something like Rayquaza, if they've got 8 energy on the field, they're doing 240 damage. That's not enough. If they've got 9 energy on the field, they're doing 270 damage. That's not enough. They need 10 energy on the field to get a one-hit KO on a Wishy-Washy. And time you've taken down a couple of Rayquaza, they're just not going to have that much energy left. Yeah, takes a lot to take this big boy down. Now, in terms of other Pokemon, we've got a Tapu Lele here just to help you get set up. It's Tapu Lele, it searches your supporters. And we have a 1-1 Machoke line. Now, playing 1-1 is always a bit scary because if either your Machop or your Machoke is prized, yowza, means you can't play it. But this is what I used to do in my Vespiquen deck before it got rotated. Because you see, Vespiquen evolves from Combee. And Combee doesn't have much HP. 40 HP is low. Wishiwashi's got 30 HP, that's even lower. And your Magikarp at the moment's coming in being like, hey, what's on, boys? I've got my Submerge ability with my 30 HP. And Feebas is coming in being like, what's on, boys? I've got Submerge with my 30 HP. Well, unfortunately, Wishiwashi's a 30 HP Pokemon that doesn't have Submerge, but if it did, it wouldn't have the Nuts Good ability. So, there is that. And you see, what Machoke does is it stops all damage and damage counters to your bench Pokemon from attacks and from abilities. It just gives complete protection to your Wishiwashi. Now, the bench does become a slight issue here because you essentially want a Machoke and 4 Wishiwashi, so that's kind of like your entire bench. So essentially here you have one Wishiwashi GX on the field, but you only really need one Wishiwashi GX on the field. But do bear in mind that the bench is going to get a little awkward here. But in theory, this gives you complete protection. Tapu Koko wants to spread damage, you're protected. Latios wants to get a double KO, and Latios is more of an issue here, because at least, you're weak to water with Wishiwashi, but at least it wouldn't quite KO all of your bench, although if you did this twice, it totally would. But a Latios here could take out 2 Wishiwashi in one go. And then you got stuff like Decidueye with damage counters, or Espeon GX, which could KO 3 of these with Divide. You need Machoke here. Alolan Muck is bad enough, but if you didn't have your Machoke, then essentially Tapu Koko, or Latios, or Espeon, or Decidueye could just completely wreck your setup here. Now, in terms of energy, you're just playing 5 water energy. That's not very much at all. You don't need very much water energy. You're putting 1 on Wishiwashi at a time. So it doesn't really matter. And then the rest of this deck is just getting set up and a little bit of disruption. Because you see, the only thing that can really beat a Wishiwashi is some of these Pokemon like Rayquaza if they just get huge. Something like a Gardevoir if they get enough energy on. Although, again, Gardevoir will still... if you've got 1 energy on, Gardevoir needs 9 to get a one-hit KO. Ouch. So you've got some disruption cards here. You are, of course, playing Max Potion. You've got a 290 HP Pokemon that attacks for a single energy. You need Max Potion here. So you play Max Potion, completely heal up, and as long as you've got 1 energy for next turn, you're golden. But this is also a Hammers deck. We've got 3 Crushing Hammer and a couple of Enhanced Hammer. Now, this isn't a full-on, if I don't get all of my hammers, I lose kind of deck. This is a, you can't get one-hit KOs. I'm pretty much 2-hit KOing everything for 1 energy. I'm golden here, but you know what? Let's put a bit of disruption in just to slow you down, just in case I need to. We do see Brooklet Hill here. Brooklet Hill's amazing. It searches out your Wishiwashi, and that is the GX or the non-GX, which is awesome. And the only other slightly unusual cards here, really, we see a copy of Energy Retrieval, which of course you need because you're only playing 5 energy cards here. You will need to get some of them back. We see a copy of Palpad to recover supporters, although I still think that should be a one-of in far more decks. We see 4 Nest Ball and 4 Ultra Ball, because you really need to get your basics out here, ladies and gentlemen. So, playing 4 Nest Ball, 4 Ultra Ball, 3 Brooklet Hill, you should be able to get your Wishy-Washy out nice and early. That's kind of needed. And we see a fairly heavy line of Tate and Liza here. Why Tate and Liza? Because it's also a switch. You get a new hand of 5 cards. It's not quite as good as Cynthia, but it's alright. But you need the switching here. One of the things I said a minute ago was about your bench. You kind of only got room for 1 Wishy-Washy GX at a time. And so that means when one gets KO'd, you're going to need to get something in the active. That's where Tate and Liza comes in. Everything else is pretty standard here. We got a couple of rescue stretcher, because obviously if you do get your Wishy-Washy KO'd, you're going to need to get them back. And of course Machoke if that gets KO'd. We've got Choice Band to do a little bit of extra damage here. We've got 4 copies of Ace Roller. Probably should have mentioned that a little bit earlier, to be honest, because that completely heals along with Max Potion. Between the 4 Ace Roller and the 4 Max Potion, yeah, if your opponent isn't one-hit KOing, it's going to take them a while, shall we say, to go ahead and take the requisite number of KOs. Obviously, we are playing for Cynthia, because Cynthia is amazing. Obviously, we're playing Guzma here, because Guzma takes Pokemon off the bench and KOs them. We're playing Judge here. This really just fits the disruption theme. We're playing Crushing Hammer, we're playing Enhanced Hammer, we're stopping our opponent taking KOs. So, of course, we got Judge here as well for a little bit of disruption. We've then got 1 copy of Lusamine, which also gets supporters back. Can get stadiums back, which could be useful because of your Brooklet Hill, but can also get supporters back. That is up to you. And then 1 copy of Steven's Resolve. You don't really want this often, but certainly if you're going first, this is really good to search out the cards you want. You're playing a basic Pokemon that attacks for 1 energy, so honestly, after your first turn going first, you're not going to want this. If you go second, you really want that turn 1 attack. But it's nice for consistency if you do go first. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. A great deck. We all knew Wishy-Washy was going to be good at some point. I am just delighted it's here. And now, of course, you've all got a Wishy-Washy deck that you can use as a kind of, let's start testing. I love it. Thank you very, very much to those 2 chaps for sorting us out with the deck list. Thank you to Joe Bob. Thank you to Bryson Caldwell. You guys rock. And you guys, by which I mean the people watching the video, I want to hear from you now. Do you think Wishy-Washy is a legit deck? Do you think it's a bit underpowered? Do you think it's a bit slow? Do you think it's too vulnerable to one-hit KOs? Or do you think it's going to start wrecking face? Let me know in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen. Go nuts, but please do remember the rule. Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio. Well, you can do exactly that. And do be checking out Wassy Plays for some Transformers TCG action. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.